9,
8,
7, 6,
5, 4, 3, 2.
Time's up.
So one day Zhao shows up and is all like, and this one girl's like, and then everyone else is like, so then this pirate dude named Squint's all like,
I'll catch the shark.
but the mayor's like, oh.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, from the capital city of the United States of America, Washington, D.C., ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to Talk Hard. I hope you guys are having a great week. It's another great Tuesday to be with you guys and pick something fun to talk about, hang out, and have a good time. And we're here to do it. Let's do it. Ong-Bak, man, what a great choice. Total credit goes to Stone Loki. This was his pick, something I had on my list to get to. Seemed like it was going to fit as a nice continuation from the last couple of weeks. We had Mortal Kombat. Then we talked about, martial arts in general, mostly about Enter the Dragon and Kill Bill. Here we are talking about just some really obscure film I didn't really even think much about, but yeah, here we are, some 20-something years later talking about it. So Loki, my brother, thanks for this choice, man. Let's do this.
Yeah, no, I when I saw the previews for this originally when it first came out in theaters, I was like, dude, it looks like Rumble in the Bronx. It looks like a really cool Rumble in the Bronx. They're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. It's like no wires, no special effects, no CGI, no hanging people doing kicks, no stunt men. Everybody does their own stunts, and I was like, man, okay, I got to go see this movie, and it really does kind of feel like a early Jackie Chan movie.
I agree. Listen, by the way, does anyone else? Don't you all just miss the movie guy voice? Like I totally miss this summer action adventure, not Jackie Chan, but some guy named Tony Jaa, no stunts. I mean, it's just like you missed it. I miss the movie guy voice. It's like we don't have him anymore. Like I don't understand. There's a comedian who could do like an incredible impression, but I guess we're not going to hire him up for that kind of gig. So
I think
IRONCASTER, my brother.
Sorry, I was just going to say I think he did the Tropic Thunder bit because they have that guy in Tropic Thunder. They have the movie guy bit in Tropic Thunder at the beginning. And I think I don't know if they used him, if he was still alive to do that. I know he's not around anymore.
Yeah, the actual guy has passed away, but I don't know if, this comedian, I don't remember his name. He's a Hispanic guy. I think it's Rodriguez or somebody. Anyway, so he was just, it was spot on. Really, really good. With some work, I used to be able to do it. I have more allergy problems now in my older age. When I was a little younger, I could get pretty close. With a little bit of work, I probably could get up close. But IRONCASTER, my brother, I don't think you watched this movie either. I think it was the first time viewing for you as well as for me.
Yeah, no, this was the first time for me, and this was very much in that wheelhouse of those kind of mid 2000s martial arts films where you had a kind of millennial resurgence of that.
Yeah, just totally loved it. I think that this film is probably going to land on, I don't know how many films are on this list, but I would have to rank them. But I would get this movie definitely needs to make my most underrated movies of all time list. This is a movie that I don't understand why it doesn't get more credit. This is crazy because the biggest criticism I have is going to be a very small thing. And this is a micro budget film, like $1 million. And like you said, you know, all your own stunts, all that, but it's literally just the traditional, you know, country kid goes into town for either quote a revenge story or to get an object back or save a girl story. It's been done a million times, a million ways, and why this one gets ignored is totally unfair and unjust. And I have to be honest, I'm hoping that we can share this with folks. It was a fun time. Yeah, Pat S up in the here. How you doing, brother? Pat says, full disclosure, I have no idea what this is. Hey, listen, I didn't either. I don't think Ironcaster and I have seen it. So, yes, welcome to the club. Hopefully you go out there and we'll get your Ong-Bak cherry popped as well. So, Armad is here. He's running the show, of course. So, Chris Persia hanging out with us. Thank you so much, Chris. All you do, this is Chris's updated thumbnail for all of you get out there. He's just way better work than I do, but I always feel bad trying to impose on him. Every now and again, I have to ask for his help, but he always does better work than I could ever do. And thanks again to Pat S. Pat S has been doing a lot more stuff behind the scenes as well, really helping me get squared away on getting Star Wars Day put together. So, all right, Nas in the house. Widely known that Pops has the dim mask, the dim mock. Okay, maybe. Yeah, can neither confirm or deny these kinds of things. So, movie guy passed in 2011. Wow, it's been that long. That's crazy. MUAY classic. Yes. Jacob Ironside in the house. How you doing, brother? Hope you're doing okay, my friend. So, be on with Jacob later in the month. I was supposed to be on him sooner, but with everything going on with the Star Wars stuff and some other stuff that came in my personal life, I had to kind of push Jacob off till the end of the month. We'll be doing some really old films, man. Well, he's going deep, so I love it. So, but look, you mentioned you saw this trailer. So, did you actually see this in the theaters?
Yeah. No, I went and saw it in theaters. I absolutely loved it. I had to buy it on DVD and Blu-ray and all that fun stuff. Once it came out, but yeah, I went and saw this, and I was really surprised. I had not seen anything about this guy. Who's this guy, Tony Jaa? Why is he kicking ass so great? I was amazed. I was absolutely blown away with the fight choreography. He was amazing. There's chase scenes, there's action scenes. There's moments where, yeah, it is kind of like a revenge. It's got that revenge guy goes into town feeling to it. The beginning of the movie is absolutely crazy. You just see this tree and you're like, okay, why are they showing me this tree? And then you see like 20, 30 guys standing next to the tree, all dirtied up. They're all dirty. They've got like mud caked all over them. And then they just start screaming and running towards the tree. And you're like, what is this, like a race? And then they start going up the tree and they're kicking the shit out of each other as they're going up the tree, trying to knock each other off. And it's insane. It's an insane old school chopstocky flick you can't miss.
It was just an absolute blast. And I really want to say, for anybody who's not seen this movie, the one thing I'm going to give this movie credit for, and I mean no disrespect, so please let me love more than one thing at once, people. For any of you get hate, I don't think you guys live in chat will hate on me, but people at home will. I can love more than one thing at a time, right? So I can love Enter the Dragon, I can love Rumble in the Bronx, I can love Jackie Chan movies, I can love Jet Li movies. But what I really liked about Ong-Bak, I think more than those movies, is this felt more genuine and gritty and dirty. And because it's low budget, it felt more real than even like lower budget Jackie Chan films where you felt like, I don't want to say it's being produced and sort of like choreographed. This actually felt almost like, I don't want to say they're ad-libbing because clearly they're not. And Tony is a trained stuntman by the time he's doing this film. But you really feel more that it's actually, I don't want to say real, but it definitely felt that way to me. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. What do you think, Ironcaster, being a first-time viewer as well?
I mean, just the sheer like fact that this how low budget this was, how really gritty this was. Like going to this knowing that they're doing these stunts, just seeing them, climbing up the trees and just like pulling people out, these people falling, 10, 15 feet out of a tree straight onto the ground. I'm like, oh, someone's actually going to get hurt. Like knowing that going into this, it brings that believability that, you know, you're watching this and you're knowing some people probably did get hurt in this movie.
Yeah.
And
Whitechapel showed up in here, man. Pat says he's hungry for mud cake now. All right. Here, Nos is saying this. So that's why I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ironcaster. I want to go back to you then. You can respond. It depicts violence a lot more realistically than most martial arts movies. Is that a fair what we're trying to say? Or you feel like it is definitely more realistic or authentic?
Well, the thing is, I'm like, ultimately, I'm not hugely versed in martial arts, so a lot of that can easily go over my head. All I know is like, I like the action. I'm like, oh, it's cool when he's, you know, beating the snot out of these guys. When, you know, you're seeing him like doing all the running parkour through a town where he's like jumping between these like panes of glass.
Yeah. So, Loki, when you see this in the theater, you have to just be blown away. No offense to Jackie Chan even, but you're just like, what the heck am I watching?
These guys are hitting hard. I mean, look at that. Look at that. He did that. He wasn't hooked up to any wires. Tony Jaa did that. Not a stuntman. They didn't use stuntmen in this movie. When you see someone hit the ground and they hit the ground hard, guess what? They hit the ground hard. When you see someone get kicked in the face and it looks like it hurt, guess what? It hurt. These guys got the crap kicked out of them in this movie. There is no getting out of it. They wanted it to look the as real as possible, and it gets to the point in the movie where you can tell, okay, when they did this, that you can see he kind of held back a little bit. But when you see him do this over here, when you see him do this like this cartwheel spin up where he kicks this guy across his face, you see his foot connect with this dude's face. There is no not doing that. They wanted this to be as realistic as possible, and they succeeded.
It's funny that you say that too, because there are scenes. Obviously, I guess, you have any pictures of the guys he fights, especially the 3 fighters in a row with all these crazy hairdos, because they basically put padding under their wigs because he was going to elbow drop them and stuff, right? So they have these crazy hairdos, and it's because of that, and it's because he is going to hit them in some way, shape, form. And again, I want to emphasize this very much because, you know, don't try this at home, kids. Tony Jaa is a professional, so he's been idolizing all of the greats for years since he was like a teenager, right? So he's been doing those. He's worked for like a decade in stunt work. I mean, he's done all this other work before he even gets this project off the ground. They do a sizzle reel. So a sizzle reel is just a few cuts, different promos. You would basically be showing off his talents and those kinds of things. They shot the sizzle reel on expired Kodak film, and they had to shoot it again. So they were like behind the budget again because they had to start all over because, you know, things like that. So this is not, talk about a movie that just embodies independent film, independent creativity and passion. And someone's just almost like miraculous talent. This guy is just tremendous. It is just incredible. Did I miss any comments? Sweep the leg. Yes, well, we love sweep the leg comments. Sure. Yeah. Some of the shots had genuine contact. I think Van Damme had the same issue when he would really hit stuntman in his movies. Yeah, I heard that too. Loki, is that true? Van Damme more than some of the others were notorious for just missing and hitting his people?
Yes. I think Seagal was the worst about slamming people to the ground. I think he broke a couple of guys' tailbones while they were filming movies.
Oh, jeez Louise. Okay. I don't think I'd heard that about breaking tailbones. Oh my gosh. I knew he was bad about dropping people. So maybe, you know, I don't know about hitting them. I know he was bad about dropping you. That would hurt, man. Jaa was the experienced stuntman, so he probably was safer to work with than Van Damme. Yeah, I would think so too. I mean, I would think that Tony Jaa, and he is also like the whole movie. Like he's not like he's passing this off to a bunch of other people to have these elaborate martial arts scenes that he's not willing to do. He is this is his movie. So yeah, we basically, so Loki, you talked about the tree, and then we have like all this village setup, and basically this group that goes in, these mobsters that go in, they're going to steal this religious icon's head. It's kind of like their god, and he basically becomes the guy that's going to, he volunteers. So I'm going to go get this thing back. And then you have this really interesting scene where everyone's like, this little girl's like handing over a coin. Everyone's turning over all of their belongings because their religion means that much to them. So he really is this passionate, and he feels very responsible in his duty to do this. And when he goes into town, what creates the first level of conflict is not just about going to get this mobster or this person that stole this religious icon. It's the fact that the guy he's supposed to be meeting, who's going by the name George now, is kind of a scumbag. He ends up, he's got a gambling problem. He's got a little girlfriend type companion friend that they're into like skeezy stuff and they can't be trusted. So I love the fact that we create a story arc that's basically as simple as, how about we try to figure out how these skeezy people like see Tony not being that way and ultimately become better people because of it. I think it's a brilliant way of introducing the story arc without having to like discuss it all the time.
Well, also you begin to like this guy. So the guy you're talking about, George, he's the guy on the right on screen right now. He cheats people. He lies to people. He steals from people. I mean, he's generally just a POS. And because of this thing that happens throughout the course of this movie, it's almost like he gets reformed into, well, you know what? Maybe people do care about me. And maybe I shouldn't be such a POS because there are people out there that actually do give a shit about me. People back in this village where he came from, because the girl in the middle, she calls them like the farm brothers, or I can't remember exactly what she calls them.
She's just she's mocking them, calling them farm boys. It just depends on the translation that you get, depending on what app you're watching it on or whatever. But she's just mocking them for being country people, and he has like a Thailand name. He has a name that sounds like that, where he goes by George in the city, right? So it's just all of that sort of like dismissiveness of country. His name his name is Lai, right? And then it's like about their village and all that, and she's very mocking. What'd you think of that, Ironcaster? Because I got to be honest, I did not expect to not only care about these two characters, but I see the one become a hero.
I mean, yeah, it works as a really good kind of counterpart to Tony Jai's character here, where he is this like no good swindler who will basically who's willing to ultimately hurt anyone to kind of get ahead. Like he's pulling the girl into his schemes and scams just to try to like make a little bit of money, just so he can like kind of go on to just like the next 15 minutes. He's not really a guy who is thinking too far ahead. He's like, I need to worry about the here and now just to keep going. And I think it's a good counterpart to put our boy up against, just to kind of put these two together to where it makes him a better person ultimately.
I gosh, if you could find a picture of the mob boss, I got to tell you, Loki, this was one of the things. I mean, I know this sounds ridiculous, folks. I'm in love with this film, and I'm in love with this film because it is brilliant. It's just low budget.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, we have a story arc for George, that the guy you see there, and he becomes a hero. And you see this girl, like she's if anything, she's the tag along character that has minimal growth as far as her character goes. Now, it would be easy to lean into martial arts tropes and stereotypes and mobsters and gangs and all that kind of stuff, right? This creator did not do that. I'm not going to be able to pronounce this guy's name. Prashia Pinkau, I think. Cool. I don't know how to say the last part, so apologize for getting the name wrong. But this mob boss is in a wheelchair and smoking his cigarettes through the tracheotomy hole in his neck,
through his throat hole,
and has to use the electrolarynx voice enhancer to speak. This sounds silly, but you really get this sense of this dude is like, he's so messed up and still persevering. Like, I'm not sure I want to mess with him. It's like, you don't have to see him being evil to other people, and you don't have to see him do a whole lot of that to realize, look, if this guy has already gone through this much stuff and he's in this poor of health, imagine what he's willing to do to keep going. I don't know that. Maybe I'm reading too much into it with my headcanon.
No,
I felt that way instantly. Like, holy crap, this is a great villain.
How can a villain with a tracheotomy that has to use the electric voice thing, how can he have an evil laugh? I want to tell you something. When he's like, ha, 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 you're like, damn.
It's like all you hear.
I know. It is not comedic, folks. It's like, it's just unnerving. It's just like off enough that you're like, what on earth am I? What is happening? Okay, it is kind of like Ned, but it's like, imagine like way crazy, creepier stuff from this guy.
Yeah, like if he was evil and in a wheelchair.
And running like a martial arts gang, and he's got money tied up into like, hosting fights and running drugs and everything else. I mean, it's incredible the stuff that's happening in this movie. It's just really, really, it's one of these things where a movie like this isn't going to be taken serious enough and evaluated. And I got to be honest, it's not that I don't know if I heard of it or not, but I remember when you brought it up and I wrote it down. It's been on my radar screen, and I'm like, I got to watch this movie. And I had a hard time finding. I don't even know where I found it to stream to get a copy of it, but I was just really, really impressed with so many elements of the film, because it's sort of the dream project of the indie filmmaker. This is John Carpenter's Halloween for me. This is how I felt. I felt like it's that level of like, for its genre, it's that kind of movie. It just didn't come out in the beginning. It came out kind of in the middle of other people's work. So it just kind of didn't get any attention.
No, I agree. It didn't get enough attention, and the sequels are absolute. I mean, the sequels are so horrible, I don't even want to watch them again. I was trying to find a way around, because all my movies are packed now. I've got all my movies packed. I have no idea where my Blu-ray of this is. So I'm like, okay, how the hell am I going to watch this before we do this show? And I'm looking, and I find a site that has it, and it's going to cost me $11.99. Well, they had the trilogy for $7.99, and I'm like, isn't there a way I can just buy the one movie that I want without these other two that, yeah, they're pretty, I guess, but that's like saying that a mannequin wears a dress nice. It's just not. It's not the same. Mm-hmm. It's not the same as this first movie. This first movie is great. So I ended up buying the trilogy because it was cheaper. It was like $5 cheaper to buy the trilogy. But I didn't want to. I can tell you that. I didn't want to buy the trilogy.
We could have put it off. Like you could find your box, your movie or whatever. But I didn't want to, So, but I totally get that, man, and I get the fact that like not everything is. And I'll be honest, guys. So with YouTube, I have a service. It kind of helps you like to put the right kind of tags in. It kind of scores the tags. I don't know how accurate that is or not, but Ong-Bak tags, Tony Jaa tags, things like that, they are not ranked high at all. Like very, very low in relationship to other stuff that, it's like, so it just shows that this has not caught on. This doesn't even have a cult following yet. This is like the micro cult. So we have our work cut out for us to try to spread the word on how good this movie is. Because if you like martial art movies and action movies, and you just want to see some people throw down and have a good time, have a pretty simple story, but have actual payoffs to setups, this is a movie for you, man. This is a good movie. This is a very solid movie.
He has to. He fights an American who's trying to beat him with a refrigerator.
Oh yeah, that was the scene. So that scene did get a little bit ridiculous for him. So there are three major complaints. I guess I go ahead and get to those. The three major complaints. Yeah. So the long fight scene where they're going through where the fight club area is. They're just literally just destroying the other room. So like imagine like fighting into the break room, and we're going to start hitting the guy with a refrigerator and the microwave, right? And go over here to this part of the house. And so I didn't care for that because it just got like, it just was so crazy and chaotic. It just got a little bit absurd, but it was still fine. And I will say this, it was also still creative, which I got to give a lot of credit for. I thought the scene, which you had pulled up earlier, Ironcaster, where his legs are on fire, There was some boss moves with that, but it was also so ridiculous. I was like, okay, well, that was a little much for me. But that was not; these are not things that are derailing the story or the movie for me. The only thing I don't like that I really wish I could get an edit, I want it edited out, is the replay sequences. They didn't have the technology and the money to do like a bullet time where they do this slow motion move now, which is so overdone. But that's kind of what they wanted to go for, in my opinion. So what they do is they kind of see him like jumping through that pane of glass, but then they do it again. You kind of like you have like instant replay kind of thing, and they use it multiple times when he does these amazing stunts. And I think that if we were able to cut that and make it bullet time, it would give him the effect that he wanted, and it would be a lot more digestible for us. That's the level of my critique. I don't know. Those are to me, those are very small negatives. I don't know about you guys.
Well, I mean, you kind of remember when this came out was 2003.
20 years ago.
So, yeah, so this is, well, more importantly, this is also right in the shadow of The Matrix. So everyone was all about the bullet time.
Yeah, but they didn't have money for that. I mean, this is made for $1 million, and that's probably out the door. You know, because this is an overseas project. They don't know how to. Trust me, they're not shell gaming money like these major corporations are now. So trust me, they literally had to come up with 1 million clams to make this freaking movie. Nas says that he likes it. I like it. Cool, man. I appreciate it. Thanks to Nas. Nas, get out there, spread the word. I expect it. Get out there. So, Steven Ransom also. Hey to you, brother. Hope you're doing all right. So what do you think, Ironcaster? Am I off base with some of my criticisms? I don't know that I'm really being harsh. I just think I'm just pointing out some of the, if there were negatives, those are the kind of things I would tell people. Those are the kind of negatives for someone who even likes martial art movies. These are the three sort of like lesser characteristics compared to other ones. But again, it's a small price to pay for a good story arc.
I honestly, I'm right there with you on the slow motion bits. That was like my biggest complaint. Like I wasn't even thinking about that when I was watching it, of them wanting to try and emulate a bullet time or try something a little bit different with the sort of low budget route they're going. Yeah, it's like I want when they kept doing it, I kept like watching. I'm looking around the size of the screen, not watching the action itself. I'm trying to see, like, can I find a cameraman who, like, was just, like, caught in frame? Like, it's like a couple of times, yeah, it's kind of neat and fun to see, but after about the 30th time they do it here, you get the point. And that was, like, the one big complaint I was going to bring into this was that I'm right there with you. Like, okay, guys, I feel like we've kind of done this more than we really ought to have.
So Loki, I know this is like a nitpicky thing to kind of throw out there about this film. You know, these are kind of like, in the grand scheme of issues that we have in cinema, especially compared to modern cinema, these are really, really almost like inconsequential issues. It's like bringing up like continuity errors in a film that's nearly perfect. You're just bringing up like nitpicky stuff. But what were some of your thoughts, some of the negatives, or some of the different other takeaways that you had with a film like this?
It definitely, at the time, this was like, okay, so you didn't have bullet time in that many movies. It was a rarity. And eventually it got to the point where they would do this little trick. There's a scene in the original Matrix that isn't really bullet time, and it's when he's falling. And yes, you see the bullets going after him, but there's like a 360-degree pan around Neo as he's falling backwards and the bullets are whizzing by him. Now, the bullets and all that stuff, obviously, that's all CGI done and put in there. But his fall, his actual fall, where the camera almost looks like it's moving around him as he's falling, all that was a camera on a track that went all the way around him in a circle. And they spun that really fast, where it's doing like a rotation or two a second. So it's like it's spinning around him super fast. Even that they couldn't afford to do in this. So you're talking about technology that wasn't really perfected yet, and they were trying to do it their way. It's almost like a street shot movie. And like you said, they did this really on the cheap. This was obviously not. This was not done super expensive, super professional. So I don't know. I just looked at it more like the camera guys are following him around, and holy shit, look what he just did. And we gotta review the tape. We gotta go back and see that again. You always saw that in like the car crash videos of the time and the all that stuff. You had to see it a second time. Oh my Lord, look what happened. So at the time, it wasn't really that big of an issue. As far as that fight scene goes, the thing with the fridge, yeah, I was like, what the hell, dude? You're gonna use a fridge? But he was trying to like block and keep the fridge between him and Ting.
Big Bear? Or is that who he was fighting during that scene?
No, that's
I just call him the American.
Yeah, that's the American after Big Bear.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
I had to go like look the video up on YouTube just to find like a decent enough image of the guy. Yeah,
well, they don't even translate his name. That one guy literally says, "Oh shit." That's all he says. He says, "Oh shit," like, "Oh my God, look who it is." You know, he doesn't even. They don't even say his name in the movie, so you have no idea what his name is, where he comes from. But they obviously know who he is when he shows up.
Yeah. Darius Munchausen's joining us. Hey, brother. Long time. Good to see you, man. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. Awesome.
Hey.
Indeed, Ironcaster. Can't go ahead.
I was gonna say this guy was just basically the kingpin of Thailand.
Yeah. This guy's great. Camera tricks only reveal that cameras are on set. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, it was. This guy's villain is. This is again. I'm not gonna totally like draw direct parallels, but there's something that's interesting about Indian cinema as well, where they do this, where they have villains at times, not all of them, because a lot of this stuff is done with like, you know, almost like superhero characteristics, but sometimes they have this like subdued element to like the mob boss or a criminal or something like that, and it's very interesting. Total spoiler alert, but I mean, do we really care? I'm doing my Throwback Thursday this week on Octopussy, the James Bond movie. Not very good, right? Not a very great movie. However, there's a reason why I'm picking it, which you'll have to watch my video on why. But like the thug in this, the bodyguard in this is a very quiet, intimidating Indian guy. He's big, he's bulky. It's very similar in like a way, like their acting conveys so much more menace and intimidation than what it should. And I think this film really hit a lot of that. I loved it. I really did. So let's see, Ironcast. What other pictures do we have? We have other photos, something like that. I didn't really have a ton of stuff I could share. That's the ending. I want to say I disapprove your culture you appropriated our cinema. Well, okay. Sorry. I will say this. I love the fact that it's sort of like the reluctant hero in a way, because, you know, he is not like Ting is not interested in getting into fights because George and everything, they're leading these sort of like sleazy lives or whatever. Is like, you don't really have a choice. He's just kind of thrown in this situation, and basically it's like human cockfighting where they just do these differently. And this is at the climax of the movie, which is really, really tremendous.
It's beautifully framed.
Yeah, yeah. Can you pull back the rope shot you had pulled up earlier? It's great. So, thank you, Darius Munchausen, $1.49 super sticker, some popcorn. Hey man, yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about it. Tell me what you want to talk about too. Yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate it so much. Keep everything going. I love it. I will tell you that it also, and I want Loki's opinion too, because when you're seeing this in a theater, you kind of have that first impression thing probably sticks with you with a movie like this, because it is kind of obscure. So the only reason you kind of cling to it is because of sometimes that experience. The fighting styles and nuances and things that they introduce in this film, I thought were very, very interesting and sort of like immersive. Like it made me want more. It wasn't just, we're going to have a couple guys stand in the street and just start throwing fists. They had like a lot of interesting elements they added to this in this film.
Oh yeah, and the knees, the elbows, you'll notice he uses a lot of knees and a lot of elbows in this movie. All of that hurts, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen people go over and over, like, how deadly is that knee? How dangerous is that knee coming flying at you from Tony Jaa? that fast, that knee is going to hurt. There is no ifs, there is no ands, there is no buts about it. That knee is going to hurt at the speed he is flying at you. It's damaging. The elbows, the fact that they had to put the long hair on the fighters and cover the top of their head, because when he's coming down with his elbows, that can crack your skull. So all the little things he's doing, that he's showing off, that all of this is dangerous. Now that, not so much. You're talking about the speed, how fast can you swing your leg around and hit this guy from a standing position. With his foot out like that, it's going to be more of a push than a hit. What he wants to do is he wants to hit with the ball of his foot. He wants to hit with the ball of his foot. Now, if that's hitting you in the face, that's like a crack across the face. But if that's hitting you in the chest, it's going to be like force against your chest. It's not going to hit you like a freight train. If he's hitting you with the knee, if he's hitting you with the ball of his foot, that's going to cause damage. This is more like, yeah, you got one foot up and you're on your tippy toes, and I'm going to hit you hard enough to knock you on your ass.
Yeah, it was tremendous seeing Tony Jaa use multiple maneuvers, multiple body parts in dynamic ways and interesting. Oh, it's okay. It's called The Art of Eight Limbs. Got it. Okay. Yeah, and he definitely, when he's adding, because they had this sequence with the rope fight where they're putting this rope on, and it's a tremendous fight. And it was funny because of what Loki was saying earlier about him holding back at times or whatever. Because I mean, you could notice in this scene like something was off. Then you realize the plot point, of course, the twist is that the boss is manipulating the situation, but of course he reneges on it. But so interesting for them to do different things. It's not just, I'm going to basically make my own version of a Jackie Chan movie. It's like, no, I'm going to do my own version of this character and this journey using the type of Thai boxing that I know and love, which has completely different techniques and maneuvers that we can showcase against different types of fighters. And I think what you were saying earlier, IRONCASTER, using these Americans and other crazed characters as antagonists was also brilliant.
I mean, it's especially kind of considering he's supposed to be this guy coming from like a small little village, very insular, and having to come out into the bigger world. That's like juxtaposing that quiet sort of village life with going into these seedy like bars where there's all these like underground fights going on. It's a great job of juxtaposing those two sort of worlds to bring them together, which you see as well with kind of going back to Georgie.
Yeah, the one guy, so a lot of the guys that are in those scenes or whatever, they're just professional stuntmen. I looked up the guy that played Mad Dog, and he's like just a professional stunt guy. I meant to look up Big Bear. I think it's important too, because it just, again, it brings so much authenticity to this by them just doing that type of work. Yeah, Nick Cara, Big Bear. And Big Bear's just a fighter. He's just a fighter, just a brawler. Wow, cool. He's a former WMTA light heavyweight world Thai boxing champion. Quote, Special K Nick. Wow. That's crazy. That's awesome. That's what you're going to get in this movie, guys. If you've never seen this movie, search it up really quickly. See if you can find a way to watch it for free. See if you can find a way to take this in. And especially, again, like I said, if you love martial art movies, action movies, that stuff that, Jet Li and Jackie Chan, and I think to a lesser extent, Bruce Lee, because this movie didn't remind me as much of Bruce Lee in a lot of ways. It reminded me more of some of the other stuff, but I think that's because it was not more of, well, I told Loki this privately, but I'll say it, and that is, I enjoyed this more in a different way than Enter the Dragon, because Tony Jaa's character just gets beat up at times. Whereas with Enter the Dragon, until you get to that final sequence, there's really not a mark on Bruce Lee's character. And I enjoy more of what seemed like a more believable, fallible character, kind of like the Die Hard syndrome, where the character has to overcome their injuries, not just the physical challenges, maybe being overmatched, those kinds of things. This movie embodies all of that, does it not?
Pops, I wanted to ask you when Big Bear's got that chick, he grabs that chick and he's like trying to goad Ting, Tony Jaa, into the ring. And he's like, got her, and he's like, yeah, look what I'm gonna do with her, And Tony Jaa doesn't do anything. He just keeps walking. And this one guy, like comes up, and he's like, how dare you violate, I will fight you with Muay Thai. And he goes in, and he's just getting his ass handed to him. And Tony Jaa is still standing there, just watching. And even George is like, are you gonna let him do that? He's gonna kill that guy. He's just gonna mess him up. And he doesn't do anything. He's just standing there. And it isn't until Big Bear backhands that chick, because he had grabbed her. And was like, look what I'm gonna do with her. I'm gonna do all this stuff. But he doesn't hurt her. It's not until he backhands that chick that the crowd parts and lets him just walk right through. And it's almost like the Red Sea parting as Tony Jaa just walks up and he goes, nope, now you've done it. You backhanded the girl. Now you've done it. Now I've got to do something about this. But it was that whole goading.
I have it pulled up, Ironcaster. I'm gonna pull yours down for just a second. Walk everybody through this scene real quick. It's weird how they have it kind of the qualities adjusted here, so we'll see what happens when we kind of like walk through this. But you can see the crowd, and then if you look just for a second, you don't get a good shot of the girl on the ground until after he kind of walks through the crowd. But you can see the crowd just moves because you got these two white people right here in the front and this other white dude in the back. I don't understand. They have to be like production people, in my opinion. They're probably like in charge of. So if I had to make a prediction, this is lighting department, costuming. This is who these people are.
Well, we had to fill out the crowd, so anyone who wasn't doing something just had to stand there.
Yeah. So she's on the ground right here behind Big Bear, who's getting ready to like drop a leg on this guy before Tony Jaa's character Ting just keeps walking through, and this guy just starts talking just all sorts of crazy smack. Look at this guy; it's great. Let's hear from Big Bear. And there's our boss guy. So smug. And then she's helping the dude up. And then they start fighting. And this guy, he's doing the
I liked him. I really liked him.
Yeah, he's another underrated character in this movie.
The announcer guy, when George comes up to him, he's like, remember, give me the winnings. He's like, yeah, we got it worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the big boss gambling and gets Big Bear. Yeah, I want you guys to see what we get to see.
That's it. It's over.
It's freaking amazing, man.
He put the ball of his foot in his face. And that's it.
Freaking Louise, that's amazing. It's brilliant.
You know what? It was just a random thought. I was like watching like Big Bear there. I'm like, kind of looks like Comics Division.
Big Bear does look like Comic Division, very much so. Yes. Well, he's way tall. He's like two Comic Divisions. Yeah. Yeah, he does this a lot. Where he's doing this, like, go right back to his stance and
put stroke space.
Yeah.
Elephant stomp donkey. Tiger lift the mountain.
Yeah. Ass signs check. Face cashes.
Oh, this is the comment about the winnings. Yeah,
he's
right
like,
there.
You give me the winnings. He's like, man, sucker, I know.
Yeah, that's the line right there. Here, let's go back just 1 second.
I know that. I know that, sucker.
Oh yeah, I gotta get to this one right here. This is the headshot. This is that padding in that wig, man.
That elbow drop.
How fast it is. And it's so close to his face. My gosh, it was so close to his face. Watch this.
Boink.
Bam.
Boom.
Right on that wig, man. Dropping it. Oh, man. Yeah. Sometimes there are movies when you see it and you're like, there's a lot of gap and you can see the, the bad editing or whatever. Nope. They're going to put the camera right there and they're going to show you how close they go. They're going to show you how narrow the space is and those kinds of things. So fantastic stuff. So Had a wannabe. Talk about the goats coming in the house. Hey, everybody, kind of catch up before it's over. Hey, man. Yeah, totally. Great movie, man. If you haven't seen Ong-Bak, gotta go check it out, man. It's are my favorites. Yeah, visual staging. Yeah, there is so for a micro budget film. I gotta tell you guys, it really, really is something to be had. And I gotta be honest, there's so much money spent on just film. You know, the cost of actually shooting on film. I don't know where they filmed and what the rules would be. Oh yeah, there's this little.
I was in Thailand. They were in Thailand when they
filmed them. They were there. It's a Thailand movie, right? It's like it was all done by people over there. Yeah, okay. I want to make sure because I want to speak out of turn. The little geez, why my brain is shutting off here.
Carts?
The rickshaws. Yeah. The little motorized rickshaws or chase scenes or whatever. Yeah, that got a little crazy too, right? A little bit absurdity there. But again, there's also an underwater shot though. I thought was really, really good. Underwater shots are freaking nuts, hard to pull off. But yeah, the rickshaw chase scene was a little bit ridiculous and stuff like that. So they spent some money on all of this. But this was a really good shot. Kind of underrated again. Like another one of those hard to believe a film like this would have a good shot like this in a good sequence. And again, you know, they cut to a newscast. I mean, there's some really interesting elements to the story that we're not even doing credit for. So, yeah.
They were really careful to keep some of that really explosive fight scenes out of the trailers. Yeah, you got some, but like when he connects with that kick with Big Bear, you don't see that. So when you see that, when you're in the movies and you see that, you want to get up and be like, hell yeah! You know, you want to be like, holy shit! You give that reaction like, damn!
Yeah, this again, when you see stuff like this where you have real stuntmen getting that close and you know, hitting on each other like that, it's exhilarating because you feel like you're there at that event, that match. And this definitely felt that guy. And again, I'm not trying to diss on these other filmmakers, these other actors and stars, but to me, that's what makes this a very special experience compared to some others.
Oh, absolutely. No, I absolutely agree with you on that.
Yeah. Oh, Chris pulled up the actual number. He says it's 1.1 million. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? That's why I use the term micro budget. Things that are like around those numbers is like it's kind of hard to think about. It made 20 million at the box office of what I wrote down. I don't have that broken down for U.S. and overseas or, you know, what that number entails. That's the number I quickly looked up. So if you guys want to fact check some of that, IRONCASTER, what were some of your thoughts as you were looking at like multiple set designs, multiple locations, the little rickshaw chase scenes, some pyrotechnics? I mean, it wasn't just a street brawling martial arts film. This actually got pretty dynamic.
Well, I mean, one of the most memorable scenes of this is, of course, the parkour chase, where it's like across a city where Ting and George are both being chased by the goons.
Right.
And at first it's pretty funny. It's like, well, every time Ting starts doing a stunt, well, here's George who has to try and do it to a much less competent degree, as he's sort of playing that comedic relief through it.
Yeah, he transitions out of being like scumbag to I can profit on this guy, and then I will try to emulate him like a brother would be, you know, but he's like the fat friend who doesn't know how to do things right. But his heart kind of evolves into being in a good place. Like he doesn't want harm to come Ting's way, because Ting does represent. And when he really starts to embrace the fact that, you know, George's dad had written a letter, and you've seen that Ting is a genuinely, you know, heroic guy, and it kind of transformed George. And then when you get to that final epic scene, like you had pulled up earlier with the giant statue going in and all of that, it it is really great because you finally see Tony Jaa just totally getting beat, totally struggling, going to have a hard time overcoming, and then George stepping in and actually interceding to save the day. And it's and not in some sort of like silly Hollywood way where at the end of the movie he's just there or what. No, we lose George. Like, it's really good stuff. Like, this is great storytelling. Yeah. Oh, this is that chase sequence. Oh my gosh. There were some of these shots that you're just like, holy cow.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. The knives. Oh, by the way,
that has to be one of the best, funniest, comedy breakers in an action movie ever, brother.
yes, they. So George turns around with a knife, and then he really doesn't have a knife. He has like a separator, so he grabs a meat cleaver. And they look around because they don't have any weapons. And there's like a little old lady walking down the street. Knives for sale. Knives for sale. And then they just cut to the next sequence, and they're running. And then of course all of the guys have knives, and it's just, that is like Big Trouble in Little China. Great.
Yes.
Like, that was so good. I was like, oh man. And I could see Loki every time he watches this movie just burst out laughing at that scene, which made me laugh even more because it's Loki humor 100%.
George turns around and he's like, you ain't screwing around with me. Look what I got. And he looks at his knife and he's like, oh shit. And he turns around and grabs his cleaver and he's like, come on, bring it. Like, I will cut up every single one. Knives for sale. And they're all looking at her and he's like, shit. The courage of I've got this giant cleaver and you don't is immediately gone, and it's back to running. Get your ass back to running on your feet, because it doesn't matter whether you got a cleaver or not. They just got a whole crap load of knives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was just super good. I don't know what to say. There are so many little nuances. Like I said, I don't want to. I feel like I'm overselling it in some ways because it's still, this is a small micro budget, small budget, that kind of thing, right? We'll go ahead and let me just pull this up. I don't like this part about StreamYard because it is a little bit easier to. That shot, Ironcaster is so good. Him going over, under, through, just. That is, as far as I could tell, and I'm just going to hope that is a prop, but that's rolls of barbed wire.
Yep. And
I'm just going to hope that's a prop, but it most likely is not, knowing this guy's attention to detail and what he wants. I can just tell you, if you meet me in person and you see all the scars on my arms and my hands and whatever, almost all of that is from barbed wire. Because let me tell you what. You get it when you're messing with that stuff. So let me try to share this sequence that we're talking about, because there's a little bit of a lead up to it as well. So hopefully it'll share all right.
And I mean, it's not like they do just like one. No, it's like 4 or 5 or 6 different little like parkour sequences.
Yeah, watch this. He's going over this, over that, through this. Yeah, barrels. Oh, yeah. This is where the glass is, I think.
Yep.
Trying to get to George. Okay, you just clearing
jumps over the tools.
George trying to keep... George rips his pants on it. Poor George. He's a mess. Here's the barbed wire.
I
forgot what happened to George. What did he do? Oh, it's right through his head. Yeah, that's right. George just played for gags in some ways.
Which, I mean, for this, like, it absolutely works.
Yeah.
There's the glass. And that's when they were like, no wires. In the previews for this movie, they're like, no wires, no stuntmen, all action.
So, all right, says, pass me your knife quick kind of thing, right? So he has his little knife. It's not a knife. It's the separator for the food.
That's not a knife.
Yeah. He's like, ah. So then George is like really clever. He has a meat cleaver.
It's that look. It's that look right there. That look, like, test me, mother. Yeah. It's that look.
It's so great.
This, if this was like a Rush Hour movie, that would have absolutely been Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker, yeah.
And then there's a little old lady.
Knives for sale. Oh my
freaking incredible. Like, I was like, man, I don't know. This was one of those, man. I was blown away at some of the fun elements that are in this film that I don't know that I ever heard of, even, let alone. So it's just great. So Padawannabe says he saw it in the theater too. Yeah, could not tell enough people about this guy. The Window, The Wire, The Crowd Walk. I also agree. Ong-Bak 2 was weird. I enjoy Tony Jaa's movie, The Protector. I don't know anything about it, so.
Yeah, there's some other real good Tony Jaa movies. It's just the rest of Ong-Bak's like, what the hell did you guys do? It has nothing to do with the first movie. It has nothing to do with the characters of the first movie. At first, I was like, oh, okay, they're going to go back and they're going to explain all this, like where the statue came from and all that shit. But no, that's not what they do at all. It has nothing to do with the first movie at all.
See, my theory is that they were trying to cash in on the name of it just to be able to get funding.
Loki warned me not to even bother, so I've gotten to a place in my life now where I know how to take advice. So that's what I do. So Daryl like hopping in the house. Hey brother, fight for the users, my friend. Hopefully you're doing all right. And I believe Loki, you're headed right over there after us.
Yes.
7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central to kick off some Dark Tower conversations. So.
Yes. So. Ooh. I'm on my third way through the entire series, so I've been
more than one movie?
back in. No, the books. The books, man.
We're gonna put you in time. Ironcaster putting you in timeout. We're putting you in timeout for that. Don't even start. There's no. No. I have to pull the card. I don't do that very often. No, that was too much. We can't. That's painful. So.
They're supposed to be working on a TV series. One season a book. We'll see.
They have been trying to pour money into that with just horrible creators attached for years. I remember writing about Ron Howard and all. I'm like, oh my God, no, please, no. So, Daryl, love you, brother. Hope it goes great. By the way, all you members, you should be hitting your Tron fight for the user things when Daryl's in the house. What's wrong with you? Hit your Tron for me, please. You do realize Loki was in disguise walking by with that knife for sale. We really need to get that clip. I have not looked for it, so I've got a note now to try to get a clip of knives for sale. And then if I can go a next level where I can go knives for sale with Loki's voice, that's even better.
Knives for sale.
Knives for sale. Knives for sale.
Knives for sale.
Yes.
I don't know. Did either one of you watch the dubbed version of this, or did you just see the
No, I didn't want to do the
subtitle?
subtitle.
Okay, in the subtitle, she literally, or in the dubbed, she literally sounds just like that. She walks by and she goes, "Knives for sale." And
oh, that's the best. That's
I'll
so
never
great.
get rid of my Blu-ray. I will never sell my Blu-ray because I don't know if I'll ever. I haven't looked to see if you can find a Blu-ray of this movie again. But I like both versions. Ting doesn't sound good in the dubbed one. He sounds like a little kid. He's like, tiger lifts rock, elephant stomp the mountain, and you're like, what in the hell? But everybody else sounds good except for Tony Jaa. Everybody else sounds fine. From the I bet 3 million. All of them sound great except for Tony Jaa's character.
Okay. It's one of those that's been around for long enough now. You probably can find a copy at a reasonable price. I see a few here listed, so it's not that hard to find. So, all right. So she says Tony Jaa's amount of takes for restaurant, one take and one camera sequence is insane because of how long it takes to reset the set for filming. Yeah, he is just tremendous. What they were able to accomplish. Again, I always go back to this too. I just did a review of a film over on Netflix called AKA, and I really don't want to pump the film up or dog the film because this is the actor's first real film. He is a stuntman, and it's the director's first film because he's coming from the choreography. And I felt like it was a good first endeavor. It was solid. It's just an average sort of like little special ops spy jaunt and interesting elements. There's going to be some things that work and some things that don't. And then to see something like this where I'm like, holy cow, look at Tony Jaa go. How could this have not elevated this guy to next level? It's insane to me. And yeah.
You know, if you want to check out a movie that does the one shot take, there's one that I believe it's now available on Tubi called Crazy Samurai 400 versus 1. And the sequence is about 97 minutes.
Yeah.
All one take.
Yeah. All one take. I've got that movie. That's absolutely insane. Yes.
Pretty recent movie. Crazy Samurai 400 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll see. I'm not sure when I'll get to it, but I'm writing it down. You made the list. We'll see what happens. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, yeah. So she is echoing The Protector is a good recommend, and he's going to be in the Expendables movie. I didn't even know that we're still making more Expendable movies. Okay, cool. I guess everybody's game for that. I don't know.
They're doing a fourth one.
I have no idea why Tony Jaa was not hired to at least be the stunt man, if not, the character behind the costume of like Snake Eyes or something. Like, there's no reason that you couldn't have characters in Star Wars or Marvel and these different things. Like, to me, it's a no-brainer. And then I told Loki, and I stand by it, there is no reason I would not hire this guy immediately as my stuntman coordinator to at least come up with some interesting and new things. There's stuff that's done in this movie that you have not seen in other films. Am I right? I mean, there's stuff in this film I've never seen in another movie.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Ironcaster, if they can make the Meg 2, they can make an Expendables 4, goddammit.
Looks like we're getting it, it's September 22nd, by the way.
That's this year. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, Tony Jaa's in it. They got 50 Cent in it. Megan Fox.
Oh, my God. Why is Megan Fox in this movie?
All I know is Dolph Lundgren's got a job. So long as Dolph Lundgren's back, I'm good. Let's do it. Why not?
I need to hire him just to teach me science.
Jet Li's gone. Oh my God, Pat Steven Skull's in this movie.
No way.
Yeah. Steven Skull's in this movie. Liam Neeson is in this movie. Bam Bam Bigelow, Eddie Hall is in this movie. The kid that played George in Ong-Bak is in this movie.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, the kid from Raid. That's what's his name? Is it Iko or Iko? Iko Uwais? He's from Raid. He's the other guy that's in this. Wow. Andy Garcia's back. Yeah. All right. Well, let's do it. Okay. Sure. I got to be honest. I will say this for a lot of movies right now, and a lot of people are frustrated at modern entertainment and, whatever. Here's my thing. I got to be honest, guys. There's a lot of stuff that we're able to have fun with right now, right? So we all talk about how we enjoy John Wick 4. I did a review. I just dropped my review on Sisu. Highly recommend if you just want to have some fun. Just throw down, punch in Tarantino plus Mad Max Fury Road plus, John Wick. Like, it's just that kind of stuff. Like, set in World War II against Nazis. I would say that there are a lot of Renfield. Renfield was fun. Like, can we just have fun? Like, these are movies that are not great, but they are fun. So I do think that we're kind of letting, I'm all about abolishing Rotten Tomatoes and some of this other stuff right now because I think it's all out of whack to reality, and we need to go back to our 5-star system because it seems like a lot more. It's just I can't call something a 6 and not be attacked. It's totally unfair. And
well, I mean, if you look at if you look at the way people have used rating scores, it's like people are afraid to rate anything below a 6. Even the worst movies, they'll say, it's a 6. It's like, guys, there's more numbers. It's okay to say a movie's a 3.
Yeah, it's like you just can't. It used to be, movies kind of were like, is it around a 2.5 to 3-star movie? And then like that was your like line. And then it was more like your genres. Like if you're into martial arts, you might want to add a star. If if your kid wants to go see it, you got a little kid that's into animal movies. Oh, your kid will like this. That's how you would kind of adjust your scale. Now it's like everything has to be the equivalent of a 4.5 star, and it's just unfair to actual good movies. And I think that's kind of where we got to. And I would think that if you like martial art movies, and if you're like me and never seen Ong-Bak, you're in for a treat. So make sure you check this out, track it down, see it for yourself. So
do it.
Okay, Padawannabe is going to be in timeout. Okay, listen, I know it's 3 hours long, and I know it's subtitles, and I know it's also a little odd and nuanced because Indian cinema is, it's just different. You guys got to understand they don't have the kind of money we do, they don't have the budgets they do. We don't have, and again, this is done with their own CGI department. Obviously they're dodging through animal cruelty rights and things like that. Movie is crazy, but it also has a ton of heart and story development, and it just hits on all these beats. And I think you're just going to have an absolute blast with it. So, I don't know anything about the whole thing with Dolph Lundgren having a chemical engineering degree. So,
yep. So ironically, he's actually more he's actually more qualified to talk about science than Bill Nye, the science guy, or climate change. I think it was what people would say.
Huh. Well, I have a higher level degree than Bill Nye does. So that's just, going to be honest. I have no problem. Because I used to write and I'd be critical of someone like Bill Nye. I'd be like, well, who are you to say that? And I say, well, I'm actually a scientist, so you can go pound some sand. So, yeah, I'm actually a biologist, so I'm allowed to speak on this topic. So screw you people. I love that. I had that happen to me many, many times through the year of 2020. So what do you know about this? I said, I know I can read a research paper. Let's see. Padawannabe said even though they admitted their mistake later, Siskel and Ebert smashed Dumb and Dumber. I learned a long time ago not to listen to critics. Oh, okay. I think you can be an honest critic and also discuss movies that are fun and who the target audience is. So, for instance, I have no problem being honest of talking about like when we did Super Mario. Like this can be a 2.5 to 3 star as a movie, which I think is a fine score. And I also think you are going to have a lot of fun with it. If you're into the game and you get all these references, you get all these little bonus adrenaline rushes, it's going to be more like a 4-star movie to you because you're going to have all those extra little perks and things that maybe other people won't get. Same thing like a kid's movie. You go see a kid's movie, it's like a 2-star movie. But if you got a little kid who likes talking animals, it's going to be a bigger deal for them. That's all there is to it.
Now that about a month or so has gone by, looking back on the Mario movie, I'd probably put it down to about a 3.5 to 4, just because ultimately it is a kid's movie, and kind of letting the shine rub off a little bit. It's like it's a good movie, just maybe kind of check my own personal biases there.
Interesting. Would you like it more if it was called Wario?
I will say this. I had a good time. And when it drops digitally and I can stream it with the kids, I want to watch it with all the kids and see their responses as well. So I'm very interested to see that too. I love to see, I was really blown away. I actually just enjoyed Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And I enjoyed it even more after watching it with the kids and seeing their reaction also. So when a kid's movie can reach in multiple layers like that, that's a really good sign that it is a very solid movie. So Let's see. Pops, you have to be lenient with Padawannabe. He did not start the whole gun. He did. Well, okay. Well, I mean, he has a special place in my heart. I mean, we actually should just basically include him on the Talk Hard backstage thread and allow him just have like a gateway drug. I mean, it's literally, he's you're a legend, Padawannabe. And for those of you who don't know, on Star Wars Day, we have a special segment set up with Jeff Padawannabe. We are going to be recording a session with Padawannabe because we tried to have him do more show and tell with comic books. And then at the very end of this stream, and look, I don't know if you've seen it or not, literally the last 10 minutes, then suddenly he just starts opening up these trunks full of all these action figures. It's like these trunks that are all like, I mean, like there's at least 20, 25 of them each trunk. And he just keep bringing them out. I'm like, okay, hold on, time out. We have to do something special with this. We can't do this right now. You can't do that. That's not fair. So we are doing that for Star Wars Day. Padawannabe. He has his own little show, his own little segment coming. Darius, I'm going to have to correct you that microbiology is the nasty science, and it is extremely nasty. Just so you know. Weird Al knows more science than Bill Nye, maybe. My dad said he took anatomy and Braille. I would not want it done in today's climate, Daryl, but I'm all about trying to get more love to Sid and Marty Krofft material. Absolutely. A lot of fun. Okay, listen, I don't hate on the Meg like some people do. I can just take it for what it is. It's just a dumb, fun shark movie with some insane stuff. And there actually were some characters I thought were interesting. I mean, most of them died off, but they were actually done well. But yeah, let's do it. Why not? Let's do more crazy stuff. Let's have some fun.
Have you guys seen the poster for this movie, by the way?
Which movie, bud?
The Meg 2.
Oh.
No, I haven't.
Oh shit! Is that Pippin? Pippin! Poor Pippin! Pippin!
Pippin! Get back in the boat!
Get back in the boat, Pippin! Is that Pippin, the dog from the first movie?
Oh man!
Holy shit, Pippin!
I have to be honest. I meant to write that down as making a Meg clip over Pippin the dog, and I never did. And then I actually wrote it down for like a T-shirt idea. I didn't do that either. I'm like, we have to do more like Save Pippin. Pippin.
Hashtag Save Pippin.
Actually, so if you guys don't know why the Meg stuff continues to live on, because I actually got a screener to see Meg, and I felt like the only critic who didn't completely have a horrible time. Like you could just see on everyone else's faces as critics, they were like tortured. Like they just hated this movie on every level because it's just a dumb shark movie, right? And my wife and I had a blast. We were just laughing. And when the dog's like Pippin's doing a little paddle, and I'm like, "Oh my god, the dog is alive!" I think I said something out loud, which is like a huge faux pas, because it was just I just started. I don't know, Loki, you would have been laughing with me. You'd be like, "Oh my god, yeah, hey, look, the dog is away!" Like, "Oh my god, go Pippin, go!" I mean, it literally was that kind of absurd. But I was like the only one responding that way. It was so much fun, which made it even better for me. Yes, they are the powerhouse. Yes, see, there you go, Darius. You got to go, man. In microbiology, not. Yeah, so we have to keep our things. So that would actually be cellular biology. So I think Darius is testing me, Ironcaster. I think he's quizzing me. He's just doing it very sneakily in the chat. So.
Oh, see, I just assumed chat is right.
Oh no, they're not. So that was not right. But he's in the right like area of campus, but each little nuance has to be added. So. They already did that with Banana Splits. It was crap. Listen, don't crap on my Banana Splits horror movie. I had a blast reviewing that as well because those people actually not only let me review it, they sent me a copy because they were so happy that I would review it. So I actually own a physical copy of the Banana Splits horror movie, which Mrs. Pops was ready to like get rid of during the move. I'm like, are you kidding? I may be one of like 5 people that have this on physical. I don't even know how many of these were made. I don't even know why they would make physical copies of this. Yeah. So no, I am not going to do. You will not. I will not fall for your trap, Daryl the Derelict. I will not. I say nay, nay. Yeah, Padawannabe's on board with me. Jason say the movies are what they are. Yeah. What do you want?
You just got to kind of sit back, shut your brain off, and just enjoy the dumb action.
Yeah. Daryl's like, yeah, you get it. It is foul, man. It is foul. It is gross. Parasite Eve, the monster is mitochondria. They waited 4 billion years to attack. That sounds like a 2B movie for IRONCASTER. So I don't know.
Which I think I have Parasite Eve. Let me check.
In the original story, it was a traumatic event that caused them to awaken and decide to do something. It's almost like they were asleep. They were asleep purposefully. Oh, I can do you one better than that.
I have Parasite Eve, and I have Pong.
That is beautiful, but I can do you one better than that. Hold on one second. Gonna get the slap fight now,
what else?
Pops.
It's nerd peeing contest now. It's what it's turned into, or Paradise. Thank you very much, Darius, for on it. So I don't know. I can only lower my suspension of disbelief so far. I think Meg 2 will be beyond my limit. Stay them keeping an oversized megalodon at bay with just one leg. I don't know, man. Listen, Chris, I expect it to be so ridiculous that I got a feeling I'm going to have a good time with it. But I expected that with Renfield. I expected Renfield to just drift into like stupid, and I just had fun with it and just went with it. And yeah, so I think it's a lot of setting your expectations, and is familiar with because Darius, he was already on it before I got to your chat. So yeah.
There you go.
Oh, wait.
Caster
Oh,
from the Millennial Collection.
Wow.
bravo! Is that the vinyl?
No, this is the game. Hold on. I'm gonna stop my camera real quick and I'll pull it out. I'll whip it out.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Ladies.
I gotta be real careful with this because this box is like 20 years old.
So I found out that the one of the gas stations near me.
There it is.
So that's like her bracelet, and then it's got this clear statue. It's got the card. There is the game. That's what you see.
Oh, I
Very cool.
like the case for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's Japanese only. You could only get it in Japan. It's the Japanese version, but they came out with a special Millennium Anniversary Edition that comes in that beautiful box with these awesome extras.
See, Chris Persia knows it. He's on it. Loki's Zardoz all the way, baby. Yeah. You get it. Yes, Darius, that's a great logo. There is a sequel. Results may vary. That is fantastic. That's a great way to describe most of our experiences with these things. Yes. Ong-Bak, great. There are sequels. Results may vary. Yes.
The Final Fantasy version of this verse 6 comes with a Terra clock. It's a glass clock that has Terra on the cover of it. I've got that too.
I'm sure Magitech Mags has it as well.
Actually, she didn't. When I sent it to her, she was like, "Oh my God, how do you get that?" I said, "You got to order the Millennium Edition from Japan." And they've still got some absolutely beautiful box work and clock work and all that.
No harm, no foul, Darius.
I
I'm
gotta
all
look this
game.
up now.
We're at the end of our show. We're getting ready. We have like 10 minutes, so we can just usually we start rambling about some different things. I think we kind of beat on the Ong-Bak love the best we can. We showcased a little bit of it. It's freaking great. And Darius, you do not ever need to apologize for the ADHD thing. I am riddled. These boys have gotten used to me and how I operate. Mrs. Pops, God bless her. I have no idea why on earth she puts up with me. Yeah. So yeah, I am riddled with it. I had it before it was like it had letters. That's kind of one of my jokes. Like, so I had it before it was like we knew what it was. I had it before it had an H. It was just ADD. God bless my mother for never giving me drugs. They wanted to medicate me back in the day when I was a little kid. She did at least give me to speech therapy because I had a lisp. So I got that kind of treatment, but they were like, they wanted to. And it was because I'm on the spectrum, but it was like there was no spectrum back then. You know what I mean? So now it makes sense. So when I had my daughter in particular, she's the one that got tested first and we identified it. So 3 of my 5 kids were tested and have something very similar to me. And really, we know for sure all 4 of them do. And it's like, oh, okay. So, yeah. I have issues. It's okay. You're amongst your own, my friend. You're amongst your own. So, great use of letters here, by the way. Patrick Farm remembers ADD without the H. Yes. Yes. Zax is in the house, too, by the way.
So I found out the gas station near me is selling like 1991 sports cards
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
that have gum.
Oh, boy. Ironcaster's getting in the
moly.
gum game. Getting in the gum game.
I've got
gotta
a steady
stick it.
supply now.
There we go. We gotta get some more clips going. We got some more.
So-
We have some cards that are getting ready to go out. I actually just have not. My day job has just been consuming me, and then Star Wars Day is consuming the other part. So I have not gone to the post office. So I have at least 3 packages going out to some folks. I know one person in particular said they would do the Padawannabe challenge. I do not pressure them to do it, and we will definitely give some more cards away. I don't know if they'll be Star Wars cards. I don't know if I have extra Star Wars cards to do during Star Wars Day, but we will definitely get some cards away.
So
And Hale-
speaking of that, Pops,
yes, buddy.
I was going through this big stack of mail that I found. Apparently, Eris had this giant, just giant pile of mail that she'd gotten that was just sitting there, and I'm like, "Where did all this come from?" She's like, "Oh, it was in the car," and I was like, "Okay," and I'm like, I'm going through stuff, and here's this brown envelope from Pops, and I'm like. Where has this been? I guess it's been in the car. And I'm like, I'll open it up. And there is your cards that you sent with the gum. So I do have them. Because months and months ago, he's like, did you ever get these cards? I'm like, no, man, I didn't get shit. Well, apparently I did. They've just been sitting in the trunk of the car for the past year.
Cart's been cooking them for a year.
Loki, you better hurry up and open those. That gum's gonna get stale on you.
I'm not eating that gum. It's
Well, now
not
it's even
happening.
more. Now it's going to be even. So, if you guys have not watched the Padawannabe challenge videos, it is interesting how different the gum has been on everyone. Netter's was like, and that's probably what Loki would experience. Like, maybe that's the difference. But Netter's was like rock hard. Like, you can hear it like snapping. Like, it's not even like a little bit of the pop Ironcaster like we did the football pack. This was like, even after she was chewing on it, you could hear it still going the whole time. It was crazy.
Glass like glass. Nope. Not happening.
Darius, I don't, but between Loki and I could probably list about 5 other people. We probably do. Like, we could really probably create some sort of like online geek kingdom, place, and it would have just about everything. But I've been paring down tremendously over the last 3 years, Darius. So if you're looking for something, let me know. And I'm about ready to pull all of my CGC out of because they are currently not getting any views and bids, and I'm about done with that. I'll just hold them for a while. So, but yeah, Greedo and the Speedo, bro. Thank you so much for being here. And listen, man, hit me up on Twitter. I'd love to be sure you're a part of know what's going on with Star Wars Day. I'm doing the 25th. I'll have some live streams, things like that. You can hop on. I'd love to be able to have you a part of that some way, shape, or form. Same with you, Scott. I had a way of contacting you, man. Thanks for being a member and hanging out with me, bro. Make sure if you can find a way to connect me or hit me with that email. We'll be going pretty much all day on and off the 25th, either with live streams or pre-recorded videos that are premieres, things like that. So, yeah, Padawannabe will have to scale it down to probably about an hour and a half. So he's going to have to prioritize some of the stuff that he's going to show us. I'm going to try to do a little bit of research, Padawannabe, to maybe look for certain ones that are more rare or uncommon or things like that, so people can actually see them, because some people may not have ever seen them. Like, that's why I think it's cool. It's like in Loki, we talked about it briefly, but in Ironcaster, you're not getting enough. You're getting on enough in age to get this. People didn't go through some of these experiences, and it's a little hard for us to fathom that because it doesn't seem that long ago. But we're now in an era where people, there was always a prequel. They didn't, they're old enough now to like, oh, it's always been out there. It's, we're at 20. It's almost 20 years since Sith. So, yeah, there's people that have grown up and didn't know. So,
well,
I do not think Eris will do it, but if she does, hopefully she'll send me the clip. I want the clip. We'll be more than happy to include her in. Yes.
I was say, if you're lucky, you get the most random what the F sequels in the form of like PlayStation 1 video games.
War games.
This is the sequel.
Oh.
Yeah,
Ugh.
this was a sequel to the Matthew Broderick film.
Yeah. Oh. Oh boy. Chris is encouraging you, Loki, just so you know. They're all out there.
Yeah, I'm not chewing the gum. Sorry.
Mitochondria are afraid of it. Good job. Good call back there. I see what you did. Daryl did 2 sticks, so he's technically, he's right there with Padawannabe as being the goats. So talk hard thread. I do like movies. Yeah, well,
Oh, I did do the movie count. Okay, so because I boxed all of that up. We've got 10 boxes of DVDs. Now these boxes are from front to back, 22 long, spaced 2 to a box. Comes out to around 88 movies per box. 10 boxes of those.
Okay.
So and that's not counting like movies with 2 movies or triple packs. That's just
right.
How many regular movie cases.
Right. So there's 880 cases.
And that's not counting box sets. So box sets, I've
might
got
be
another
a trilogy
3
or something.
Yeah, I've got another 3 boxes with nothing but, like, I've got all the Friday the 13th movies. I've got all the Puppet Master movies. I've got the Blu-ray collection of Next Gen. All that shit. There's 3 different boxes. But all the boxes are the same size. So there's these medium banker boxes. But 22 long, spaced side by side, is 44. And then another layer on top of that. Comes
so
out
you're
to around
looking
88
at
movies.
Are we talking standing up vertical?
No, they're
no. You lay them sideways. Don't do them vertical.
You lay them sideways, so
like that.
Yeah,
they
like
stack
that.
better that way.
And what from front to back, that's 22 stacked. But then you've got another 22 next to them, and then you've got another 22 on top, and another 22 on top of those. So it comes out to 88 movies. So it's around, and not counting double discs, special editions, whatever. 880 movies.
Plus the other box sets. Plus the other box sets. So looking like probably close to 1,200 movies. Probably around 1,200 movies. Probably a fair
probably
assessment.
around that when I'm done. So
yeah.
I am gonna. There's the theater room that we're putting up. That's gonna have the projector and all that in it. Has its own closet, and it's like kind of like a side hall off of the staircase. So it's like a loft. That's got its own like closet area. That's going to be nothing but the DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff. We'll have the box sets out to like show them off. But all the DVDs and Blu-rays, almost everything will be in that closet. That way I can just open the closet, pick the movie. They'll all be in alphabetical order and just go with it.
Pat's asking about VHS. You have much VHS left?
I've only got maybe a dozen VHS tapes, and wasn't included in this haul. I just want to know how many movies I had. So
Yeah, I got you. Before I moved, I had 2 of those. So we'd gotten a Blockbuster video cabinet, one of those floor to ceiling ones, those big white. You remember the white? When you go to Blockbuster, right? The big white shelves. And then I had one custom made to match it. And we had these curtains that you'd pull so it would hide them from view. So they were floor to ceiling, 2 of those completely full. And that didn't count, like you said, box sets, stuff in binders, VHS. And so, yeah, I'm with you, man. It was probably closer. Yeah, it was every bit of, 1,500 movie. It was insane. I mean, literally there was the joke amongst the kids, when I die, it's like they all started taking bids on who was going to get movies and comic books. And I'm like, and then they're fighting amongst each other. It's like, you don't get to pick like that. That's not fair. And I'm like, how about if I just start deciding? And they didn't like that sound at all. And that's kind of what the end result's been anyway. So
it's funny you mentioned comic books, because that's the last thing I'm going to get here. Is I've got the IDW Metal Gear Solid 1 through 12, and the Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty 0 through 11 are on their way here now. It's probably going to be the last thing I get in the mail here before I move, is that entire collection.
Yeah, that's Chris, he could definitely sell tickets. Yeah, that's the kind of thing where you can watch a different movie every day forever and just never go all the way through. You just kind of keep going. And that's kind of what the fun of doing the channel was. The part of me, like just walking away from some of the other stuff, was I can just do what I want to do. I don't have to get caught up with some of the other stuff, things like that. So, well, guys, we were at our time. I know Loki's got somewhere to be. I have somewhere to be. And it's always been great doing this. Folks, listen, if you have not caught Ong-Bak, search it up for yourselves. There are copies. Physical copies are not going to be that expensive. There's stuff online you can find. Make sure this first movie, this was really, really good. Like, I am not just throwing smoke. I don't do that, guys. This would be on my most underrated movies of all time list. I don't know where it would rank on that list because I've never really written it all the way out, but I was blown away at how good this was, especially with no money. Really, really good film. Enjoyed it a lot. Can't thank Loki enough for a good recommendation. So,
oh yeah,
rock and roll. So, what's going on with you, Ironcaster? What's coming up? What's going on?
Let's see. I got something in the mail. I got something in the mail coming up here. I might try to shoot a little makeshift video for here in the next day or two. But Friday night I'll be over with Nick Weiser for the Friday Night Comic Shop Talk, where I think we're doing a bit of an open panel where we're gonna probably talk about some of the stuff we got from Free Comic Book Day, which includes a certain barbarian.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You despise all weavers of the dark arts.
Yeah. Rock and roll, man. Something for everybody. Some good stuff.
Which, by the way, if you're not checking it out, seriously, go give Frank Fraze's Death Dealer a read, because you just want to have some badass, like, muscle dude beating monsters to death.
Remind me, guys, and I will pull my Death Dealer out. I just got a new Death Dealer comic book. I'll show you guys. I was very, very excited about having it kind of fall in my lap accidentally, because it was I was looking at other stuff with a Spawn book, and I got that one. I can show you the Spawn book. So go ahead, Loki. Talk about what's going on with you, man. You've got the comic book and other stuff going on this week.
We've got Daryl the Derelict, like you said earlier, coming up in about 30 minutes. We've got where me and him are going to talk about Dark Tower, the Gunslinger, the very first book in the Dark Tower series. We've got Mary's Game Room coming on tomorrow to talk about her charity in the morning. We've got the Comic Book Roundtable after that, Wednesday night. We've got Thirsty Thursday. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm sure I've got something to do, but I have no idea what it's going to be. Later that night, I've got Seven Kinds of Mischief with Dega, and then Friday morning, we're going to have the Weekend Review with Dave Bob and the Lady, Arwen Avalon. No Friday night show. No Friday night show this week.
Oh,
Scott, I'll hit you back and make sure you kind of know at least a little bit of what's going on. I do try to post updates for members, so if any of you are my members, make sure you kind of do that, and feel free to hit me with questions, that kind of thing. So let me turn my camera on, Loki, because I got this, and I knew I would just get you totally to go. I know.
Oh yeah, I love it,
whites, baby.
That 300, man, that's a 300.
Yep.
Oh, dude, I love it. I love the black and white. I love line art so much.
Yep, fell into my lap with some other stuff. It's like, oh man, I can't walk. But I think this is what's happened. I think right now is again, I'm not going to speak universally, so please don't hold it against me if you go out there and spend your own money. You act wisely, but I'm telling you, it seems like right now, CGC 9.8 is a buyer's market. You have a good CGC. It's a buyer's market right now, especially because people are only interested in like the stuff that's really moving are older key stuff. And a lot of that stuff's very expensive. So if you're interested in just having something and holding it for a while, or you maybe never want to part with it, it might be worth keeping an eye out. That's all I'm saying. So let me see. So yeah, just tons of stuff going on. I'm glad you brought up Mary. Mary is going to be my What's Your Story on Sunday. I have another one recorded, but I was able to get the editing done on that one. So Mary's is done, and that will be on Sunday, 9 a.m. with the premiere. Saturday morning cartoons, of course. Comic book day tomorrow. I already have 2 reviews and my comic book talk tomorrow, which is why is great with James Mealy. We have a great conversation. So tons of stuff always going on our channels, and love being with you guys. These great people that have come and gone have been in our chat. Thanks to Chris Persia. He's the man. He is just the man. So he's got all the links there, folks. Make sure you catch all that. So, and Nos, listen, man, do your thing, man. Wait to get your Klaus Kinski channel going, so I know how to get caught up on all of the stuff I need to learn. So I appreciate that. But folks, listen, go out there, make tomorrow a little bit better than today. Have fun with life, be blessed, And above all things, you guys, you got to talk hard. You got to do your thing. You got to be you. You got to be honest and genuine. That's what we love doing around here. Hang with us next week. More martial arts stuff. We're going to talk Shaw Brothers films with our special guest, Holly, Latino Slant. He's going to come hang out with us. We're going to talk about some of those great movies and tons of great stuff there. So make sure you check that out. Thanks for everything, folks. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
I'm Ross. All I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama.